Welcome everybody for the second long-awaited episode of Another Terrible Retro Review Show. Long-awaited by me at least. This time I want to talk to you about Super Valis 4 for the Super Famicom. As I mentioned last time, Super Valis wasn't the first imported game that my brother and I had played, but it was the first one we actually purchased. A lot of the reviews for Super Valis 4 here on YouTube and on a number of blogs and stuff, they really kind of dog this game. They kind of put it down. But a lot of those reviews also sound like bullshit. It's one thing to do your research, to read up about a game, find the history, find other platforms, find the story and such. But these guys seem to be pulling stuff straight from the fucking Wikipedia page. And they ought to be talking about their own experiences with the game. And that's not what you're getting with a lot of these videos. You know, why are you bringing up fucking Rondo of Blood? Why are you bringing up Dracula X? I get that it's a PC Engine game, I get that it gets ported, but they're different games, so just move on. That's on the Wikipedia page, doesn't need to be in your review. This review is going to be a little bit more personal. It focuses on the gameplay itself, and kind of on the experiences that my brother and I had as we played the game, and frankly, we both really enjoyed it. Some reviews take points away from Valis 4 because it's missing a number of features from the PC Engine version or from previous games in the series. So what? I knew two people who had a TurboGrafx or a Turbo CD, and I knew one person who had a PC Engine. And none of them actually had this game. So it's not like I knew I was ever even missing anything, because I never knew that there were two other characters, and it just didn't matter. For me, this game was just a great action platformer with great music, good graphics, challenging player versus world gameplay. It's a good game. Knowing nothing of the story, all I knew going into the game was that there's some random goddess telling some anime hot chick to go fight bad guys with blue skin who kind of look like Voltron villains. And that was good enough for me. With no real story to care about, all my brother and I had was a fun game. That's all we really cared about. We ran all over this richly animated world. They had multiple layers of scrolling in the background. A lot of stages got pretty deep, and really great music. It was really quite good in a number of stages. It really is memorable for that music. Lena the Heroine has a sword that can do a high and low attack, and she starts off with a projectile with infinite ammo. Kind of works like Castlevania, where you can press up an attack, I think, to fire it off. But where it gets fun is when you get to pick up the additional kind of special weapons. You can hold 6 in some extra slots, and you also have one that you're actually using. So it's actually 7 total slots. 1 in the chamber, so to speak, and 6 on deck. And the cool thing about them is they're actually selectable. You can choose not only when you want to use them, you can choose which one you want to use, and so that way you don't burn through them trying to get to a good one. You can pick specifically what you want to use, and that's really fun. You've got like a homing missile, you've got a triple arrow that kind of comes out at 3 different angles so you get people high. Fuck you. It's got a thing I always call wolf shot that comes out then diagonally down across at the enemy. You've got health refills, you've got body armor, a couple other ones. It kind of gives the game this fun Mega Man-like approach where you're selecting different weapons for different situations. And the weapons, for me, I think they're best used against bosses rather than against your typical stage enemies. Partially it's because the bosses are very pattern heavy, and once you know the patterns, these weapons can really aid you in fighting against the bosses. Secondly, especially as you get farther in the game, the enemies aren't your real enemy. The world itself is the enemy. You start to deal with a lot more enemies who are well placed to knock you into things. You've got pit traps. You've got people who are just slightly off screen, ready to get you. And it makes it really hard until you've gone through a number of playthroughs and really kind of memorized the stage. It makes it so you really have to know where you're going. This particular video only goes up through stage 5, I think, the Crystal Pillar. A little bit of a poor translation there. And that's because it's been years since I've really played Valis, and that stage is hard. I keep getting knocked into these fucking spike pits. Stage 6, I remember, was really fun. It was hard, but it had this kind of purple, bulbousy, pulsing background. It reminded me, honestly, of the final boss in Contra. Stage 7 is the ever-popular boss rush. If you know your patterns, you can work through the bad guys pretty quickly. The final boss takes you a couple of times. Once you get used to his pattern, you'll get him. It took me a couple of afternoons to really figure him out. Frustrating afternoons, but we got through the game. So if you like 16-bit action platformers, Valis 4 is worth checking out. It's a lot of fun and has a really satisfying challenge curve to it. You know, it really kind of ramps up gradually, and there are some sticking points, but it's worth it when you get through. For another terrible retro review, go ahead and just click the video that's hanging down in the corner to hear about Ranma half Bakuratsu Ten Rantohen, Ranma half Hard Battle on the Super Famicom. For other general commentary on games, comics, bullshit in the world, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at ATI Channel. For some other projects I do when I'm not doing YouTube videos, look me up on DeviantArt, Nerdcraft. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll catch you next time for another terrible retro review show.